If you clicked on this video, I'm sure you love YouTube just as much as I do. But as AI in general has only gotten more popular, there is a reason this video was made. I just feel like this is our platform. This is something we want to take care of, right? So it's only right I make a video essay talking about how AI on YouTube is honestly just all around bad. There's not really anything good about it. From the fake AI trailers to the slop that is getting more views than actual creators who put love into their videos. Yeah, today's documentary is dedicated to A.I Slop on YouTube. Now you may be asking yourself 3 questions. 1, Tuv, what's up with the camera quality? 2, Tuv, where's the red hair? And 3, Tuv, why are you so handsome? So look, for the last one, I don't know that one. It's just genetics, I guess. Bro, I'm so funny. But anyway, to answer number 1, what is up with the camera quality? I'm an idiot and I broke my 4K camera. Okay, so I was an idiot. I was trying to do something with it, but it doesn't matter. So this is temporary. This is just for this one video. Number 2, where is the red hair? I got rid of it. I didn't want to be red-haired boy anymore. I'm not getting buzz cuts anymore. We're letting the hair grow back to 2023 style. So everyone say goodbye buzz cut because it's over. It's over. We're letting it grow back now. There you go. Just answered your questions. Is it okay if I start the video on my own channel? Is that okay with you? So is this the end of YouTube as we know it? And I'm not even being cynical or kidding in the slightest when I ask that. I mean, you'd have to be from an entirely other planet to not notice how much YouTube has changed. What started as a few random AI experiments has actually turned into a full-scale invasion. YouTube is drowning in AI-generated content, and that kind of content is taking over the platform in even niches you'd never imagine it would reach. Reports actually indicate that currently, nearly 1 in 10 of the fastest-growing YouTube channels globally are showing purely AI-generated content. And these aren't your typical small channels, no. These are channels with millions of subscribers. 1.6 million, for instance, for one channel themed around a space-stranded infant, basically videos about a baby crawling into a space rocket. Another with 3.9 million for something called Super Cat League, featuring humanized cats having affairs and dismembering eagles. Pretty sure most of you are up to date with such themes. These accounts are literally everywhere. If you have a younger sibling or a child, yeah, parents that watch the Tuv channel, shout out to you guys. But yeah, so I noticed it with my nephew, bruh. Okay, you know how little kids just live on YouTube Shorts and it's already YouTube Short slop? Imagine combining that with AI, dude. Oh my god, I can't begin to express how brain rot it is. And in case you think, what are the chances AI comes up on their feed? I don't even know why you would think that, bruh. Because as of researching this video, for instance, this here was the 3rd most watched video the week before with 130 million views. Clearly AI generated slop that someone probably made in about 10 minutes, and these millions of views are luring in more slop creators and it's becoming a kind of mainstream thing to do. So not just restricted to bizarre cat soap operas, it's fake movie trailers getting millions of views, AI generated celebrity interviews that never happened, entire true crime series that are completely fabricated, and so on. And it's there because it's working. Matter of fact, since we're talking about AI so much, leave a like on the video for me being a human and not being AI. That would be awesome. Yes, you too, you PS5 and Xbox viewers, you TV viewers, yeah, get on the controller and click that like button, bruh. I see y'all. I notice y'all. People are unfortunately falling for this. Even Mark Wahlberg himself, for example, had to come out and tell people that these AI-generated videos of him weren't real because so many people believe them. Now, I know the answer to this might be pretty obvious, but I have to ask why, so we can get into what has gotten us here. So why? Why is this happening? Clearly, those videos feel weird. You just know they're made by AI, but they still get way more views, sometimes even rivaling some of the biggest creators on this platform. Well, like I said, it's pretty obvious. It's the result of what you'd call a perfect tech storm. AI tools that have been advancing so much that now they can create incredibly realistic content in just minutes. Then algorithms that reward engagement over authenticity. We talked about such algorithms in the TikTok holds video. And a monetization system that basically pays people to flood the platform with whatever it is that gets clicks. I mean, YouTubers like Quebblecop have gone full AI, completely replacing themselves with artificial versions. Not very far off from channels that just pump AI slop like thousands of videos a month just to get money. And what about YouTube? Well, they were pretty quiet about it until recently. But we do have a section dedicated to YouTube's response later in the video. Although, just to touch on it, the silence was probably either because AI content was never really a big problem, or because this flood of content has been solving a fundamental problem for these platforms. They need infinite content to feed an infinite scroll. I could swear that probably while you've been watching this video so far, hundreds if not hundreds of thousands of more AI generated videos have been uploaded to YouTube. It's especially crazy with YouTube Shorts and all the cross-posting between TikTok and YouTube. But before we get into all that and the kind of impact it has on the rest of the content and other creators, let's rewind a bit to the growth of AI content specifically on YouTube. Okay, so the main question here is, what exactly are we dealing with? Because when I say AI generated content, I don't just mean one type of video. I mean the entire ecosystem of artificial sort of garbage that's taken over the platform. First, you've got the basic stuff. Those faceless channels with robotic AI voices reading Reddit stories over random stock footage. They'll take a post from r/relationships, slap an AI voice on it, throw in some generic images of people looking sad, and boom, 500,000 views. YouTube even had to crack down on channels that were literally just scraping Reddit stories and calling it content. Then there are fake movie trailers. And I'm not talking about fan-made trailers or those trailer commentaries that come up before a movie gets released. I mean completely fabricated movies that don't exist. Channels are pulling in millions of views with AI generated trailers for sequels that were never announced, like this one, or about reboots that are not happening, even crossovers that will never be made. People watch them, get excited, share them, and never realize that they're fake. It doesn't matter who gets fooled or not. The point is that it's all content that just waters down an otherwise great niche, like genuine trailers for real movies. And then you got the celebrity deepfakes. And this is just another level of dangerous when it comes to content. Wired, for example, found over 120 YouTube channels creating fake celebrity interviews. These are channels with names like Celebrity Scoop and Media Buzz that are pumping out videos of the likes of Mark Wahlberg supposedly getting kicked off The View, or Denzel Washington having heated arguments with talk show hosts, and so on. And of course, none of what they show actually happened. It's not even based on real interviews at all. And all of it is designed just to trigger emotions and get shares. Sadly, the hyper-realist nature of these videos is particularly problematic to elderly people who are not so good with technology. In the particular context of the Slop interviews, there have been reports of elderly family members of said AI celebrities, for example, checking in with them to see if the videos are actually real. You know, because they're getting so good they seem authentic. Think of it like you being a celebrity. Someone makes an AI video about you and grandma calls you saying, "Why did you run over 3 people and get away with it?" You know, like, this is what's going on now. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys have had to like coach your parents or grandparents. I'm like, this is AI. This is not AI. This is what AI looks like. Look at the fingers. Like, tell me if you guys have had to coach some of your family members, because I know I have. Something also worth mentioning is that these channels are thriving. And I want to show you this because I think the numbers here are absolutely crazy. According to data from analytics from Playboard, nearly 1 in 10 of the fastest growing YouTube channels globally are showing purely AI generated content. That includes channels with millions of subscribers, 3.9 million for Super Cat League, 2.8 million for Starway, and 4.9 million for Marine Ave. That means that these are major players with massive audiences, with way less effort than, you know, a human channel. And while it is a YouTube problem, it's also true that this kind of content is flooding Instagram Reels, TikTok, and basically every video platform you can think of. We're seeing the same patterns everywhere. Low effort, high volume content designed to game algorithms and generate ad revenue. Now, I mentioned that the tech tools that most people use to create these videos are fast evolving, and I think it's important to talk about that. In fact, in the comments on those A.I Slop videos, you'll see people asking questions about how it's even possible to come up with some of the concepts, like say making a video about slicing different planets in an ASMR style and making it sound satisfying. Well, first we have Google's VO3, which can create 8-second clips with realistic soundtracks from simple text prompts. And as crazy as it sounds, YouTube announced that they're actually going to be building this directly into YouTube Shorts. I don't know why. I don't know, but I guess we'll have to wait and see, right? Closely rivaling VO3 is OpenAI's Sora, which works pretty much the same, just with a few little differences. Now, of course, I'm not going to get into the tens of other tools built on top of Google's and OpenAI technologies, but I just wanted to mention those because they're like the pillars in the whole industrialization of content creation. I mean, where it used to take creativity, skills, and lots of time and effort to make a video that could go viral, now it seems all that is needed is the right AI prompt and maybe 10 minutes from your busy day. And that's just for individual creators. Their competitors, content farms, are apparently producing thousands of articles each month using AI tools, and the same thing is happening with video. In fact, experts predicted just last year that 90% of all internet could be AI generated by 2025. Yes, 90%. And although it sounds very scary and even a bit far-fetched, pretty sure regular YouTube users know that figure is very well reflected on there. Just 10 minutes of scrolling through YouTube and you're literally being bombarded by the weirdest AI video. Did you guys see the AI kangaroo airport video? That was one that was blowing up. So, what's the impact of this kind of content for me and you? So, right off the bat, we have an issue of quality versus quantity, and that's always been a problem for content creators, but now it's, dare I say, 100 times worse. On YouTube, there's always been this pressure that creators have where they're constantly wrestling with whether to focus on quality or just pump out content as fast as possible. I'm not entirely sure, but the platform's algorithm seems to definitely nudge them towards the latter, rewarding frequent uploads that keeps viewers coming back. Of course, that is if the videos themselves are good. Now, what AI has done is outright make it easier to just spam upload. This one Reddit user, for example, talked about it months ago, saying they think AI has basically caused an avalanche of low-effort videos that care more about numbers than actual value. And on top of all that, we're also talking about artificial replacing authentic. I mean, the algorithm doesn't seem to care much about the difference. A real genuine documentary shot in the real world pretty much gets the same metric judgments as an AI slop of bunnies running around an artificial world. But who actually cares about the difference? Well, actual human viewers that aren't toddlers or elderly people. It goes without saying that this lack of distinction, as well as how easy it is for AI to take over algorithm feeds, is damaging the viewer's experience more than you can probably imagine. First, finding genuinely good content feels harder than it used to, and that's not an opinion, it's an actual fact. Researchers have found that AI-generated content is actively degrading the quality of information across platforms. Think about it this way. YouTube's algorithm is designed to serve you content that will keep you engaged. Like I've just said, it doesn't distinguish between engagement driven by genuine interest and engagement driven by confusion, outrage, or mindless consumption. So when AI-generated content is specifically designed to trigger emotional reactions, like I said with the fake celebrity drama, manufactured controversies, clickbait mysteries that never get resolved, the algorithm treats it the same as if you were genuinely interested in learning something new. And in case you're wondering why, which I don't think this needs to be said, but I just still will, it's because you're staying on the platform. That's it. They just want you to stay on the app. That's for all these social media apps. As long as you stay on the app, it's good for them because they get ad revenue off it. So please, keep watching this video. And don't skip my ads. Watch them all. Matter of fact, click on the ads. Yeah. Tell them I sent you. It becomes so much that it buries actual real content under the heaps of slop. Dr. Akhil Bhardwaj, an associate professor at the University of Bath, actually talks about this, basically explaining how AI content is flooding the internet with garbage, even using the term and shitification to describe what's happening. Basically how platforms and online communities get worse and worse when the focus shifts from quality to just pumping out more content. But what does this look like in practice? Let me show you the difference between real content and AI slop by looking at something specific: true crime content. Real true crime creators spend hours and hours researching cases and putting them together. They read articles upon articles, with a human interpretation of course, court documents, some interview witnesses, visit locations, and even consult with experts. You can hear the genuine curiosity in most of these human creators' videos. Not only that, but the way the information is presented. The respect for the victims and their families. All that to say, human creators bring a human perspective to difficult topics. Now compare that to the AI-generated true crime content. A perfect example is this right here. A channel by the name True Crime Case Files, a purely AI channel, under the guise of making the viewer, and I quote the owner here, overdose the viewer on luridness, ending up creating panic after generating facts on a story that seemed rather intriguing. The AI content was based on a real story, but also added in lots of fabricated information that had over 2 million people that watched the video question why the police or even other news media weren't covering the development of the story. To put into simpler terms, think about it this way. You see a murder case on trial on TV, it weighs you down not only because it's sad, but because the lead suspect is on the run. Then you hop on YouTube and come across a true crime video, sharing updates on that topic, including the whereabouts of the murderers or what they're up to and their other crimes. Immediately you wonder, how have the police not seen this? Why is the New York Post not covering this, etc, etc. See how crazy that sounds? This is where we are. It's all AI voices that can convey empathy and present facts that are often wrong or misleading. Also, there's no human judgment about what details to include or how to prevent sensitive information. It's just content generation for the sake of content generation. Now, I just gave an example of true crime, but now multiply that by millions of AI-generated videos covering everything from cooking tips to medical advice to financial planning. This isn't a mere drop in entertainment quality, it's more of a systematic degradation of reliable information. Oh, and by the way, apparently the creator of that true crime channel, when asked about why they did that, his reply was more like, what's the difference? Like in the sense of what's the difference between when the audience watches a fabricated case and a real one? I don't know, dude, maybe the fact that you're spreading misinformation? And even creators are now reporting that their authentic, research-driven work is completed with copied and dubbed content on the same topics. The algorithm doesn't seem to care that someone spent days or weeks researching and filming a video, or if they simply prompted Veo to generate something similar looking in 10 minutes. Now, another perspective to this is what we call a race to the bottom. In simple terms, as I've already covered, platforms reward content that maximizes engagement over content that provides value. This causes creators to face pressure to either adapt to the algorithm or get left behind, and in turn, some creators are giving in. I don't know what is a good example here, but I think if new YouTubers watch the likes of Kwebbelkop, who has completely replaced himself with AI, they could be tempted to jump in as well. Maybe not as quick as we thought, because you're gonna be met with hate. I'm sure if some creators out there understood that they wouldn't be met with hate, then yeah, they would let AI take over their channel. Now, I know some of what I'm bringing up may seem repetitive, but I'm really trying to hammer home the fact that this is a very wide-ranging problem. That's why it matters for me to highlight what other people are saying on the same. Popular internet culture writer Ryan Broderick, who writes the Garbage Day newsletter, was quoted saying YouTube has become a dumping ground for disturbing, soulless AI shorts. And like the others I've brought up, he's not wrong. Also goes without saying that unfortunately this flood of AI content is actively changing how we consume information and entertainment. Studies have, for example, shown that exposure to rapid-fire, low-quality content is shortening our attention spans and making it harder for us to engage with deeper, more complex material. Researchers at the University of California found that our attention spans while looking at screens have shrunk from 2.5 minutes in 2004 to just 47 seconds. I don't think it's really a coincidence that length is pretty much close to the average length of a TikTok video. Platforms have trained us to accept constant stimulation and instant gratification. Gloria Mark, who conducted that research, explains it this way, and I quote, "You can think of it as attentional capacity. We can use that capacity to get work done, to do important things, but if we're switching our attention, that's draining our tank of resources, and then we don't have the capacity anymore to pay attention." The change in how we consume content is also the fact that AI-generated content accelerates this problem because it's specifically designed to trigger dopamine responses without providing lasting satisfaction. It's like junk food for your brain, immediately engaging but not real core benefits. That aside though, another pressing concern in terms of the consumption of this content is how AI is getting so good that even experts are having trouble telling if it's AI in the first place. Reality Defender, a company that specializes in detecting deepfakes, reports that even people's family members who are expected to truly know real-time information on siblings or relatives are checking in with them to verify whether certain videos they bumped on online are real. I already explained that earlier regarding celebrity deepfakes. So that means we're rapidly approaching a point where the average person can't tell the difference between authentic human expression and artificial content designed to manipulate them. Now, that's all bad enough already. However, in the grand scheme of things, we also have a crisis on the level of social structure. Like, we really don't know how this will affect our human brains in the long run, or how we'll be impacted years from now. We don't even know if spending time watching this kind of brain rot could actually damage our ability to form critical thinking. Real concerns given what experts are saying. Simon Clark, a cognitive psychologist at the University of Bristol who studies AI-generated misinformation, for example, points out that these videos use rhetorical techniques that encourage audiences to abandon critical thinking skills by calling to emotion. In other words, AI content isn't just replaying human content, it's training us to think less critically, to react more emotionally, and to accept content without questioning its source. A similar perspective is by Sandra Watcher, a professor at the University of Oxford who studies AI and algorithms. She explains the whole idea is to keep you on the platform for as long as possible, and unfortunately, rainbows and unicorns aren't the thing that keep people engaged. What keeps people engaged is something that is outrageous or salacious or toxic or ragey. Never heard that term, by the way, ragey. Not rage-inducing, it's ragey. And that type of content is created much cheaper now with AI, end quote. So basically confirming that we're not just seeing a decline in content quality, we're also seeing the deliberate optimization of platforms for artificial content that's designed to provoke emotional reactions rather than genuine engagement or learning. As a result, YouTube is becoming, quote, "enshittified" on all fronts. It is increasingly less useful as a source of reliable information, less satisfying as entertainment, and less valuable as a platform for genuine human expression. Now, before I move on to the next part of this video, I should probably draw parallels with content farming. Yes, good old content farms have been around since the early days of the internet, and if you don't know what that is, the short of it is that it's when organizations focus on generating massive amounts of web content specifically designed to satisfy algorithms and maximize ad revenue. Think of it like a factory, but instead of making things, they're churning out articles, videos, and posts as fast as possible. Historically, content farms didn't have AI, of course. For the case of website content farms, for example, they instead used freelance writers in poorer countries who would get paid as little as $3.50 per article to write about topics they knew nothing about. The goal was never quality, it was volume. Generate hundreds of articles a day, get them to rank in search results, collect ad money, repeat. The parallel is that those writers are now replaced with AI. Where it used to take content farms months to produce 1 million items using humans, AI can now generate hundreds of videos daily with minimal human oversight. It's the same economic model, but essentially supercharged with artificial intelligence. And the reason I've added this content farm part, which feels like an anecdote because YouTube is currently the perfect target for this, because there's a good amount of ad revenue over on this website. I mean, we could start with that. First, every view generates ad revenue. Second, every subscriber increases a channel's authority, and if not, then just their place in the algorithm. And third, every comment and like just signal engagement. So if you can create content that triggers those metrics, regardless of whether it's actually good or useful, you can make serious money. And yes, to content farms, everything is about money. I mean, Wired even found channels with emails using terms like earning mafia, which just reveals the purely financial motivation behind these operations. Oh, and many of these channels are based outside of the US, but targeting American audiences because, again, money. US viewers generate higher advertising revenue, about 4 times higher than the world average. At the start of this video, I mentioned that YouTube has been silent or rather less forthcoming about action against AI up until recently. So after months of letting AI content run wild, they seem to have finally decided to do something about it, although their response has been, let's just say, complicated. On July 15th, 2025, YouTube updated its YouTube Partner Program policies. This was simply a, quote, minor update to our long-standing repetitious content guideline, designed to clarify that this policy includes content that is mass-produced or repetitive. They renamed their repetitious content policy to inauthentic content and insisted that nothing fundamental had changed. In plain language, what they basically did was give themselves a much easier way to demonetize AI-generated channels while still being able to claim that they weren't specifically going after AI. The policy language is deliberately vague on that. Content must be significantly original and authentic to remain eligible for monetization. But what does significantly original mean when applied to AI content? What counts as authentic when you're dealing with artificial intelligence? YouTube's examples of prohibited content include a channel that uploads narrated stories with only superficial differences between them, and a channel that uploads slideshows that all have the same narration. Notice they don't mention AI directly. They're describing behavioral patterns that happen to just perfectly match how AI content farms operate. Again, this approach lets YouTube crack down on AI spam without explicitly banning AI or AI tools, which is actually kind of smart for several reasons. First, it avoids backlash from legitimate creators who use AI as part of their workflow. Second, it gives them flexibility to adjust enforcement based on the technology evolves. Third, it sidesteps the nearly impossible task of defining what counts as AI-generated content in a legally binding way. But then the implementation has been messy. YouTube creator
Liaison
Renee Ritchie had to release a video clarifying that the changes were just a, quote, minor update designed to better identify mass-produced content. This is after some backlash and confusion on whether simply using AI in parts of a video was okay or not. The platform even published an entire support document specifically to address creator confusion about the new policies. And I don't know, but the fact that they needed to do so much clarification about a supposedly minor update tells you everything about how significant these changes really are, especially to channels that have leaned heavily on AI. I actually think that many faceless channels that rely on AI are teetering the edge a little bit. After The Guardian contacted YouTube about specific AI-generated channels, for example, the platform removed 3 channels entirely and blocked 2 others from receiving advertising income, although they wouldn't specify which channels had been sanctioned because of their policy of not discussing individual enforcement actions. But Wired's investigation into fake celebrity content led to 37 channels being removed, and in the process gave some clear view on where the line was drawn. Primarily, those that were removed were the ones without AI disclaimers and those with the most blatantly deceptive or misleading names like Celebrity Central and United News. I guess this tells us that YouTube's enforcement is focusing on the most obviously deceptive content first. Honestly, good moves, but the question remains as to how well this will work going forward. And if it does, what happens when creators behind some of these channels fight back? Because that's exactly what's starting to happen. Make Money Matt, for instance, who teaches YouTube automation strategies and advocates for the faceless channels that are very much at the border of AI and human content creation. Actually, there's a trend where instead of competing directly with AI spam, such creators are coming up with virtual personas that maintain human creativity while leveraging AI tools. Channels like How to AI use AI-generated characters that become the consistent face of their brand, building audience connection while using artificial elements. Another example is Warren Stick, who creates Stickman animation videos with a consistent character that has a name and personality, pulling in more than 100,000 views per month. Obviously, the key difference here is that these creators use AI as a tool with a human-driven creative vision, not as a replacement for human creativity. That being said, there's obviously a fundamental difference between using AI to overcome barriers versus using AI to avoid effort entirely. Successful human creators use AI to handle technical limitations while maintaining their unique voice, perspective, and creative decisions. And Kwebbelkop's approach represents the opposite extreme, completely replacing human presence with AI. After his AI channel was terminated and later restored, he announced plans to release a platform that would allow anyone to, quote, create their own AI videos in the style of Kwebbelkop AI. He frames this as expressing our creativity in a new and different way and believes AI content will become acceptable by the masses. But can AI-generated content be genuinely creative if it lacks human intention, experience, and judgment? Or is its creativity simply about producing engaging content regardless of its origin? As Matt points out, creators who treat YouTube as a business and build real brands are more likely to survive platform changes than those who rely purely on algorithmic exploitation. AI spam might generate short-term revenue, but human-driven brands create long-term sustainability. The future likely belongs to creators who master this delicate balance of leveraging AI capabilities while maintaining the human elements that audiences actually connect with. So where does this all leave us? Because honestly, all things considered, we're genuinely standing at a crossroads that's going to determine the future of human creativity on the internet. On one side, we've got a very lucrative dystopian path. Down this path, the majority of content on this platform is AI generated courtesy of content farming and hacks around the algorithm. Authentic human expression is the rare exception, not the rule. And the model collapse research from Oxford and Cambridge universities shows us exactly where this leads, to the AI cannibalism, where AI systems feed on AI generated content and start producing increasingly degraded output until everything becomes meaningless noise. But then there's another path, where AI is just an anecdotal tool in the larger creative process that humans have had since the beginning of time. And I feel like Google somewhat understands this. I mean, that's why while they're investing heavily in AI video generation tools, they're also taking measures to curb spam content. That means that to them, AI is okay, but you need to use it in the right way, like an additional tool to the already existing multitude of tools. And this quote, right way, seems to be emerging from creators who understand that AI should amplify human creativity, not replace it. With that being said, I want to let you guys know that my following videos will all be AI generated, and you won't be seeing me anymore, Tuv the human. You will be seeing AI Tuv. Yes, A.I Bert. Get it? Because it's like Albert, A.I Bert. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I've had that one in the works. But yeah, A.I Bert is going to be taking over the channel. So goodbye, everyone. You won't be seeing any more of me. Just kidding. Obviously, I'm just kidding. That's the end of the video, though. So if you liked it, make sure to leave a like. What'd you think about the webcam? Old school webcam, huh? Make sure to leave a like. If you aren't subscribed, it would be awesome if you could subscribe. And I will see you guys next time I upload.